On guys, it's Sharni here again, and today I will be doing another tutorial for you guys on Instagram, but this time I will be talking about I guess the issues that you guys were having from the last tutorial, and that's authentication with Instagram. Even though I didn't cover that, I thought it would be really useful to do so in this video, and I'll try to explain things as much as I can. So hopefully, this video will be really helpful. Another note, I noticed a lot of you guys were really interested in the application I created in the last tutorial. So I created a new version of that application here. And if you guys are interested, I will leave a link in the description of this video, and you can just request a code there, whether it's the previous version or this current version. This is not even fully developed yet, but this is using Instagram Mapbox. No, sorry, this is using Mapbox by Leaflet, I think. So I'll just show you guys quickly how that works before I start the tutorial. So you log in with Instagram, and we have the profile here. Um, I I didn't get the map pins all loaded in yet, but um, I'll finish that sometimes this week or so. But however, yeah, this is a newer version. We can go to Kingston, Jamaica, for example, where I was born, and you'll see a lot of pictures. This one is more lightweight and just clean design. But whatever. So this tutorial, I will use the new Instagram API. There's been some changes that people are having issues with, and so I will address that now. So what I did earlier was I created for some reason my username was available and I took it, but now excuse me, I just went to manage clients and I created a new client with the following details, so like test app and client ID, which is generated for me. And when you get to this page, just actually, you know what? Let's register a new client and go through it. So you put in your application name, description. You can leave company blank. Your website URL is going to be localhost 3000. All right, like this, localhost 3000. And then the valid redirect URIs is going to be localhost / callback. All right, so it's going to be 3000, and then you're going to do a callback, and then I think tab. Yep. All right, and policy URL. I think you could just put localhost 3000 there, and then you put your contact email. Just fill this out and register the client, and then you should be all set. All right. So like I said, the purpose of this tutorial is to do Instagram authentication, and we'll just run through it really quickly. I haven't used this version of Instagram API as yet, so I suspect some problems along the way. But let's go through it together. So I'm going to go to a localhost, and I'm going to turn the server off for this application. And then cool. So I'm on my desktop. I'm going to generate a new Rails application. I'm going to call it Rails new test app. I'm going to say T, I don't want any test frameworks, and then D, I'm going to use PostgreSQL. All right. Generate the files for us. Cool. And then I'm going to cd into the test app, open it in Sublime. Go to my gem file, and I'm going to clean this up. So I don't want that stuff. Alright, and we'll need the Instagram gem. I'm going to be using Hamel and Figaro. All right. I think that's all I need for now. But oh, and I like to use pry. All right. Then I'm gonna go into my config folder. I'm gonna create a new file and call it application.yaml or YML, and it's copy client ID, and then we're gonna say client underscore ID. All right, and then client secret. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I'll be publishing this repo to my GitHub. But you know, when you're dealing with like open source projects, especially, um, it's not good practice to like publish your application's credential. So I'm using this for the sake of making it work right now locally. But like when you guys get this, you won't really see an application.yml on repo on repo. Yep, in the GitHub repo. Um, it only works locally, and I'll show you guys why in a second. Uh, but it's always good practice to not push any secret tokens online. And I'm gonna make git ignore it. And it doesn't matter that I'm showing this in a video right now because I will delete this as soon as I'm done. So these credentials won't even be valid later on. All right, so let's continue. I added application.yml to my git ignore, and then application.yml video. And one thing we need is we need redirect URI, and I think that's going to be HTTP localhost, and we'll say 3000. Oh, / callback actually. And that looks good so far. The next thing we need to do is go in initializer, and we need to create an Instagram.rb file, and this is going to take a block which sets the access token and the client secret. And we can get that right here in GitHub, github.com / Facebook archive / Instagram Ruby gem, or you can just go to Google and then type in Instagram gem. It should take you to this repo. Let's just copy this Instagram configure block here, and this will create our client ID, our client secret, to just set it when our Rails application boots up. So the client ID, according to this file, what we named it earlier was client underscore ID in all caps, and then client secret. We'll do the same for this one. Oops. Cool. All right, and I think we're good for now. All right, and now let's go to our routes. Let's get rid of all this junk. Shouldn't call it junk. It's actually really useful. So root, I don't really have a name for the root yet. But I'm gonna call it landing. It's the first thing I thought of, a landing page. And then index. So that means we need to go to app, controllers, and then we'll create a new controller, and we're gonna call it landing underscore controller.rb. And then we'll inherit from our application controller, and we don't really need to create the action. It should still work, but in case we need to do anything there, we'll create it. All right, and then we're gonna create a view, and then we're gonna call it landing folder, and then within we're gonna call it index dot. Oh, that's what I forgot. Oh, I have it, haml. All right, .html.haml. All right, and I like to use haml. Cool. Let's create one more route. We'll say get, and we're gonna call it. Let's just say landing callback. And this URL is pretty much used for the Instagram authentication. It'll all make sense in a second. I'll explain to you guys. So let's close the routes and let's put something on the screen. Let's maybe do like a link to and say login with Instagram. All right, and then I think it's Instagram dot authorize URL, and it takes one argument right now, and it takes more than one argument, but I think it's redirect URI, and we give it, for example, our environment variable. We'll say redirect URI. All right, and let's start up our application and test this out. Rails S. Go to the browser, and then we'll go to localhost 3000. Oop, there's a problem. I think the database is not created, or what is it? Missing controller key on routes. Please check your routes. Okay. Excuse me. Missing controller key on routes. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. And this is where Google comes in. Really, really handy. So let's go to Google. Oh, right. Oh my God. I totally forgot. Okay. So, no worries. We needed to specify the actual route. It's like we specified the controller and the action, but we never, created the URL. So like / callback is what we really need. And I'm hoping that this should solve that problem. And it does. Let's refresh this page. And now we have this Instagram link that, it takes us to Instagram, and this is basically the login URL. Let's analyze some of the URL, the parameters in the URL for a second before we click the link. I'm kind of sick, guys. Excuse the coughing. So, as you can see, the gem created a few things in this URL for us. We have the client ID, we have the redirect URI, right, and we have the response type is code. And this is by far one of the most important things in the URL for us. Among obviously the client ID and the URL that the user needs to be redirected to, the code is actually what we get back from Instagram that allows us to get something very important, and that's the access token. So the access token is really important. That's mainly because when a user logs in with your application to, let's say, perform likes and comments, they need that access token, because that's how Instagram identify what application this request is coming from and what user is performing that action within whatever the application is. So like when I log into, let's say, Statagram as a web viewer for Instagram, and I like something, it's that access token that they use to like someone else's picture on my behalf. So this would also make sense as we continue, but I just wanted to show you guys some of the parameters that are in this URL right now and why it's important. So let's click this link, and because I've already accepted I authorized my application to use my Instagram account earlier. That's the reason why I came back to my application. But let me try to stop that for a second. Let's go to, let's see, how can we do this? Maybe edit profile, authorize applications, and I'm gonna revoke. This is weird. I don't remember this application. Whoa. All right. Let's revoke access here, and then I should see that page again. All right, so let's go log in with Instagram, and then there it is. Okay, so now it's like saying, okay, test app wants to, do the following things with your account. You authorize them to do so, and then like, me as the user now, like, you know, I'll be like, yeah, of course. Like, I really want to use this app. It's really cool. So I'll, authorize them to do so. As of right now, um, the only permission they have is to access like my information, my profile picture, my name, and how many people I'm following, how many people are following me. But if I want to like extend, um, I guess the permissions, I can. And you know what? I'm gonna do so before I even continue. So that just in case you guys are building an application that requires relationship access and like commenting and liking, this will be done for you on the first authentication request. So let's look at that really quickly. Let me see. I really don't remember where to find that information, but let's go to actually permission review maybe. Is it? Nope. Login permissions. All right. Basic, public content, follow list, comments, relationship, so on and so forth. And that's attached to the scope parameter. So, all right, okay. So I'm just trying to remember how to include that in the URL, and I'm gonna guess that it's scope, and then let's just say plus. Let's use plus maybe. I really don't remember, but we can Google this in a second. Let me just test it out first, see if it works, and it looks like it didn't. Alright, so let's do Instagram gem authorize URL scope and see what we get back on Stack Overflow. Basic plus likes, but I want to know how do I pass that. Like, how do I include that in the request? Maybe you guys can do some research as well as I'm doing this, just to get some practice, or skip ahead to when I find the solution. But let me just look it up. I really don't remember. And I'm pretty sure it's actually in one of my other repositories. But let's try to find it here. Okay, so there it is. So it's scope, and then it's actually a string with spaces in it. So I was close. Not close enough, but close. All right, and that should do it. Let's see the other permissions. So we have public content. We can read any public profile info and media on a user's behalf. Or we can look at someone's follow list, or we can make comments, or relationships. So I'm going to do relationships. People like to follow and like. All right, so let's do that, and then we'll do likes. All right, boom. With these permissions, you guys can build some really cool stuff. And I'm also curious to know what are some things you guys are building. So you can leave that in a comment, or just send me an email. I would really like to look at your application and just like see all the cool stuff that you guys are doing with this tutorial. So yeah. All right, so I'm just going to click on this link and then see what's changed. Nice. Now we have access to all these things, and all the user have to do is click on authorize. All right, but before I click authorize, I want to do one thing, and I want to go to my landing controller, and then I'm going to create that action that we specified here earlier, which is called callback. I'm going to call it callback, and then inside, what I want to do is binding.pry. Binding.pry is really helpful for a lot of things. We can just literally stop our application to look at the request headers. We can debug, we can test, we can see all sorts of things that happens in the background. So now I'll just click authorize, and then you'll see this thing will just, it appears as if it's loading and it's just loading and stop. But really, we have binding. We bind our application to just, in this case, look at the request headers. But I want to look at the params, and I can see I have the code here that I get back from Instagram. And this is really, really, really important, guys, because without this, we cannot get our access token. And with that access token, that's how you do everything, right? That's how you like pictures. That's how you spam something. No, do not spam anyone, guys. I'm just kidding right there. All right. So now what we want to do is we can go back to the documentation and see how we gain access to that access token. So it looks here to me is that in this callback route, we have Instagram.getAccessToken. It takes a params code, and then we give it the redirect URI. Right? This is where we want to send the user as soon as we get that access token. So let's put this in our controller action. All right, cool. So we'll say params code, and that's going to give us access to this. All right, and then for redirect URI, we've already specified that earlier in the authorized URL, so we can just literally copy that if you don't want to type it out like me. And boom. So now this should give us access to the access token. So I can literally call this access token. All right, and then we want to store it in a session, guys. Put this in a session. It's not. I don't think it's maybe not good practice to put it in a database. Maybe not. I don't know. Depends on how you feel or what you're building. I wouldn't care. I'd probably put it in a database anyways. But whatever. So session access token, we set it equal to, I guess we can say a response. We call this variable response. And then within the response, we get access to the access token. But let's test this out in the console before we even we'll make the application do it first. So let's do like Instagram.getAccessToken, and then we're specifying the code again, and then we should have access to the redirect URI. So this should return something to us, and it does. All right, so I'm gonna say response and do underscore for the last command, and then I can do a response dot access token, and boom, we have access to this access token. Dope, 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 dope. All right. Cool. So now we can get rid of this pry. Sorry, we don't need you anymore as of right now. And then we're gonna do a redirect to root path, or wherever you want to redirect them to. That's totally fine. Because now we have the access token. Everything is all good. Everyone loves it, and it's great. And then we're going to do exit on this so that our application can start working again. And we probably have an error because we don't have a view for the callback URL. So that's fine if you see that. Just go back to the root and then click on login with Instagram again. And boom, it should come right back to the root path. All right, so if you get this screen, everything went well, and you have stored your access token within the session. So everything looks great, and you are ready to start making requests. So that pretty much completes the authentication side of Instagram. All right, you like the access to once you get the access token, that's the most important part. You can do anything after that. One more thing, I think that video just now ended prematurely, but that pretty much completes the authentication. The only thing you have to do is use session and access token to access information about the current user, including their access token and all. But I wanted to specifically point out what I think most people would potentially have problems with, and that's the sandbox mode, like the idea of sandbox mode, can be a little bit confusing. So first of all, you need to fill out all these fields from what I'm reading in the documentation. Like I said, I haven't played around with this version of Instagram yet, or create any new applications. All my applications are pretty old, but you need to fill out all these fields and go through each tab and then just fill in anything that makes sense to you in order to be eligible uh, for I guess you can submit your application so that you can get permission on basics stuff or comments, followers, likes, and so on and so forth. Because as of right now, if you create an application like a client, even though you have a client secret and a client ID and all, you won't really get access to Instagram's data. And I think they do this mainly because of all of the crazy things that people have done in the past, like building some of the most weirdest stuff to like comment on people's picture and spam and like do some of the most nastiest things. So I think this really helps them to cut down on all of that. So you'll need to submit your application, and I believe that's how they, you know, give you access to their um, live data, and then allow your application to do certain things. But that's my understanding of it. I haven't used this new version yet, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Also, guys, if you want more tutorial on Instagram or whatever it is, or if you, I don't care what it is, let's say you want to, build your a startup, like you want to write some code and start collecting, getting subscription just so you can make some money online or whatever it is. You have an idea for a software. I'll leave a form in below this video where you can like enter some information, like just talk to me, let me know what you want. um, I can set up a course for you guys where you know I teach you how to write your own code for your own software company and accept payments and all that good stuff. I'll leave a form, like I said, below the video, and just reach out to me. Also, if you want access to InstaLocal, the code and all that, reach out to me as well. Just anything whatsoever, just reach out to me and let me know. The form will be below this video. And if you like this video, please like and comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, and subscribe for future videos. Or send me an email if you have to, or reach out to me on Twitter at Sharny Ivory, whatever. Snapchat, Sharny Ivory, whatever, guys. I'm here to help you as much as I can. Programming for me is just a hobby. I enjoy doing it, but I'm willing to help you guys. So, nonetheless, I hope this video was really, really helpful and that you find some value in it. And I will do more videos depending on how you guys respond to the way I teach. But um, cool. Have a good one and peace.